Jackson Hayes tightened his grip on his daughter's small hand as they pushed open the squeaky door of Rose's diner. The scent of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon filled the air. But all Jackson could think about was whether he could afford even the cheapest meal on the menu today. His old work boots scuffed against the floor as he led little Ellie to a corner booth. This was supposed to be a treat, a rare moment of normalcy for his 6-year-old girl. After weeks of uncertainty, Jackson had lost his job at the factory 2 months ago, and life had become a daily struggle, stretching every dollar, pawning old tools, and pretending everything was fine whenever Ellie looked worried. "Can I get pancakes, Daddy?" Ellie asked brightly, swinging her legs under the table. Her innocent smile hit him right in the heart. Jackson swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "Of course, sweetheart. Anything you want," he lied. He scanned the laminated menu, quickly calculating prices in his head. Maybe if he skipped coffee and ordered just the cheapest breakfast for himself, they could make it work. Rosie, the owner, had a soft spot for him, sometimes slipping an extra pancake onto Ellie's plate when she thought he wasn't looking. The diner buzzed that morning. Locals chatted at the counter. A few families squeezed into booths. And then there was her, a woman sitting alone near the window. Perfect blonde hair. An elegant coat draped over her chair. Delicate gold jewelry catching the morning light. She didn't belong here. Not in this small town. Not in Rose's worn-out diner. Jackson barely noticed her. Until it happened. Ellie was stirring creamer into her water with intense concentration when she suddenly froze. Her eyes locked on the woman at the window. A strange expression crossed her face. Confusion. Recognition. Something deeper that Jackson couldn't place. Before he could say a word, Ellie slipped out of the booth, her half-folded napkin fluttering to the floor. Jackson blinked, stunned, as his daughter, his shy, careful little girl, ran across the diner. She didn't. "Slow down!" She didn't hesitate. In a heartbeat, Ellie threw her small arms around the stunned woman's waist and pressed her face into the woman's expensive sweater. "Mommy!" Ellie cried out, her voice rising above the diner's chatter. "Mommy, I missed you so much." The entire diner froze. Forks hung in midair. Conversation stopped. Jackson's heart dropped into his boots. Heat rushed to his cheeks as every pair of eyes turned to him. "No, no, no," he whispered, springing from his seat. He reached the woman and Ellie in 3 long strides, mortified beyond words. The woman looked just as stunned, her manicured. Hands hovered awkwardly, unsure whether to push Ellie away or embrace her. I'm so sorry, ma'am," Jackson stammered, trying to gently pull Ellie back. "I don't know what's gotten into her. She must have made a mistake." But Ellie clung tighter. Her tiny fingers fisted the woman's sweater. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Real tears. Desperate tears. "You're my mommy," she sobbed. "I know you're my mommy." The woman's face paled. Her blue eyes glistened with sudden emotion. Her mouth opened slightly as if to speak, but no words came out. Jackson finally peeled Ellie away, holding her trembling body against his chest. He looked up to apologize again, but stopped. The look on the woman's face wasn't anger. It wasn't annoyance. It was something else. Shock, sadness, a flicker of recognition. Rosie appeared behind the counter, peeking over to see the commotion. Other customers whispered behind their hands. Jackson knew what they were thinking. What kind of father lets his kid run wild like that? Humiliation burned through him. But deeper than that, confusion. Why had Ellie done this? She had never seen this woman before. Had she? The woman still hadn't moved. She stared at Ellie like she was seeing a ghost. Jackson cleared his throat, trying to regain a shred of dignity. "I'm really sorry, ma'am. We'll get out of your way." He shifted Ellie onto his hip, ready to leave. When the woman finally spoke, her voice was soft, trembling. "Wait," she said. Please, don't go yet. Jackson froze, clutching Ellie close. Her voice had cracked, like she was barely holding herself together. He looked at her. Really looked. Her hands were trembling. Tears welled in her wide, startled eyes. Rosie hurried over, concern etched across her face. "Everything all right here?" she asked quietly. The woman nodded shakily, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Yes. May I please talk to them for a moment?" Jackson hesitated. Every instinct screamed, "Protect Ellie." Run, but something deeper, something unexplainable, told him to stay. He set Ellie down gently. She immediately clutched his hand, looking up at the woman with hopeful, tear-filled eyes. The woman knelt down slowly to Ellie's level. "Sweetheart," she whispered. "Why did you call me Mommy?" Ellie wiped her nose with her sleeve. Sniffled. "I don't know," she said honestly. You feel like her. I just knew." The woman gasped softly, covering her mouth. She turned to Jackson, searching for answers he didn't have. "I'm sorry," Jackson said hoarsely. "She lost her mom when she was a baby. She doesn't remember her. Not really. Maybe you reminded her somehow." But the woman slowly shook her head. "No, it's more than that." She stood, visibly gathering her strength, and extended a hand. "My name is Caroline Whitaker." Jackson blinked. He knew that name. Everyone in town did. Caroline Whitaker, the billionaire heiress who disappeared from the public eye after a very public tragedy. I lost my daughter 6 years ago," Caroline said, her voice cracking again. "There was a car accident. They told me she didn't make it. I've lived with that grief every single day since." The diner was silent. Even Rosie's hands had stilled on the counter. "But last month," Caroline continued, her hands shaking, "I got an anonymous letter saying my daughter might still be alive. I didn't believe it. I couldn't, but I had to see for myself. That's why I'm here. Searching." Jackson's knees nearly buckled. His mind raced, but Ellie's mine," he said desperately. "I adopted her legally through the system." Caroline nodded, tears streaking her cheeks. "I'm not accusing you. I need to know." Ellie looked between them, confused and scared. Jackson swallowed hard, heart pounding. "If there's a way to find out, we'll do it." The days that followed were a blur of DNA tests, interviews, and sleepless nights. Jackson couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. He feared what the truth might bring, feared losing the little girl who had become his whole world. Then, the results came. Jackson sat in the courthouse, Ellie on his lap. Caroline entered, clutching a thick envelope. Her eyes met his, fearful, hopeful, broken. She handed the papers to the judge. He read them aloud. "The DNA results confirm a 99.99% probability of maternity," he said solemnly. "Caroline Whitaker is the biological mother of Eliana Hayes." The room spun. Jackson squeezed his eyes shut as the world collapsed around him. But then, Caroline did something he never expected. She knelt before him, tears streaking through her flawless makeup. "I know you've raised her. I know she's your daughter in every way that matters," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't want to take her away from you. I want us to be a family. Together." Jackson stared at her, stunned. "I have more money than Ellie could ever spend," Caroline said. "But that's not what she needs. She needs love. She needs both of us." Ellie looked up at Jackson. Her tiny hand slipped into his. "Please, Daddy," she whispered. "I want you both." The walls around Jackson's heart cracked, then crumbled. He pulled Caroline and Ellie into a fierce hug, holding them close as tears finally broke free. The judge smiled warmly. And just like that, a broken billionaire, a struggling father, and a brave little girl found something they thought they'd lost forever. Family. Real, messy, beautiful family.